Welcome to Live Consciously with Nicole. I'm your host, Nicole Wenzel, and I'm so excited for today's episode because I'm going to talk about one of my passions, which is filmmaking. And if you're new to me, I'm the founder of a production company called Conscious Cinema, which is all about putting soulful artistry back into the film arts and really stepping back from celebrity culture and allowing ourselves to be real artists that are conduits for divine creation and hopefully be able to allow something greater than ourselves to move through us and create art in the form of films that can hopefully impact the world and those suffering and struggling in the world in a positive way. And I'm going to share a little bit about why I founded my company and why I think it's so important and why it's such a passion of mine. So I recently saw a film in the theaters. I will preface this by saying I don't go to the theaters as much these days. I used to love going to see any movie. I would watch anything. I just loved the experience, and it was sort of my special place growing up. It was a place to escape the pain of the abuse that was going on in my household environment. It was a way to escape the bullying I was experiencing at school, and films were just this gateway, this portal into the magical. Then when I, moved to LA and I entered into the film industry, I went to USC Film School and I started working in the film industry. I really became disillusioned and I saw the reality of the current state of the Hollywood film industry. And what I want to kind of start with saying about it is that a lot of what we currently see in Hollywood is really this vestigial, lingering version of Hollywood left over by people like Harvey Weinstein and these other sort of power players, a lot of whom the truth about them came to light and they're no longer in the industry, but a lot of these people are still very much in the industry. And really, there's so much, not just what we saw with the whole Me Too movement and things of that nature, but a lot of pedophilia. And to me, that's really connected to this hyperfixation on youth and thinness that we see and that I find to be really disturbing. People don't want to see that in movies. I feel like what people are longing for when they go to a film is to see themselves in a character, no matter what the gender of the character, people want to somehow identify with who they see on screen so that they feel less alone, so that they can have a cathartic experience. There's also a value in going to see a comedy where maybe you don't 1000% feel super, super close to the character, but there's sort of this poetic distance where you can, be able to laugh during a dark time. And I've known people who when they were going through the death of a loved one and they're just in the hospital in and out, every single day, they would go see like an over-the-top ridiculous comedy because it helped them get through that time. There's so much value in the movies and cinema, but I really do feel like where we're at right now, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of things I find to be incredibly disturbing, to say the least. And I'm not going to go into any specific names or titles because it's not about that. It's not about tearing anyone down. It's really about envisioning what could be a better future for the film industry and also providing a safe space for people who might be affected by some of the themes of the film I'm about to mention. And again, I'm not going to name specific names, but I'm just going to tell you my experience recently going to the movies. So I'm going to start this off and I'm just going to be so candid and honest. I was, kind of on my phone looking on Instagram, which is already not a good idea. And I saw this ad pop up for a hair care product. And you see, I'm wearing my hair back in a clip right now because I'm trying to grow my hair out. I had some really bad experiences. A lot of my hair kind of got fried by some hairdressers out here. So I've really had to go on this hair journey to try to grow my hair back out. And it's something I'm like so self-conscious of, and I love having long hair, and it's something I just have been self-conscious of. And so I have been wearing my hair like up in a clip and just trying to like not wash it as much as possible, like trying to do whatever I can to kind of grow my hair out. Anyway, so I saw an ad for a hair care product by a celebrity hair care product. And I thought, okay, this celebrity has this beautiful, luscious hair. I want to have beautiful, luscious hair. It's taking me forever. I'm already feeling kind of bad about myself that I can't grow my hair out. You know, hair only grows so fast. You can get extensions, but I don't like wearing extensions. I find them to be uncomfortable. And this is something I never talk about because it's literally, I feel like, so vain. I don't know. And I never even talk about it. But I went and I got this hair care product, this celebrity hair care product, thinking, okay, maybe if I get this product, I'll have this thing, this long, beautiful hair that I used to have, that this celebrity has. And I want that because then I'll feel beautiful, you know? And I got the product. And then I heard, oh, this same celebrity has a movie out in theaters right now. And it's actually a movie about, being in an abusive relationship. And I thought, oh my God, I have to go see this movie. And I literally was like, I hadn't wanted to go to the movies in a long time. And I finally I felt like, okay, I want to go watch this movie in the theaters because I was in an abusive relationship and my dad was abusive to my mom, and I grew up around domestic violence. And okay, I want to go see this film. You know, I imagine it might be a cathartic experience. I might imagine I might not feel so alone and could see myself in this story. And so I went to the theater and I started watching the film, and I really went in like hopeful that this film would be something that would impact me, that would provide some kind of catharsis or something to that effect, I guess. And immediately the lead actress, I felt so disconnected from. I don't know. As actors, there's two ways really that we can find ourselves into roles. In my experience, in my opinion, and one way is you've personally lived through something, and the other way is research and being able to empathize to a degree where you can portray truthful emotion. And you can get there through substitution. Maybe you had not that exact experience, but you had some kind of experience in your life where you can work with the practice of substitution to bring forth the emotion that would convey what that character really is going through on screen. And I just saw none of that work being done on the part of this actress, which, you know, a lot of celebrity actors, they don't feel like they have to really act or like really pay attention to the craft because they're already so famous and they get role offers and their films make a lot of money. And that's all fine and good, and it can put food on the table and, you know, keep the industry alive. But it's not why I go to movies. I don't go to movies, you know, because I'm bored and want something to do. I go out, I sit through a film because I'm wanting to see actual artistry. I'm wanting to see a real emotional experience, something that would move me. That's why I go. And I guess it's a difference of values. I don't know. But to me, I had a lot of trouble just initially watching the film with that. Just that the fact that I could just tell because I'm an actor. And I think it passes for a lot of people. They still can get the emotional experience from the film. But I can just, I feel like I'm watching someone read lines, you know, and that was already kind of disheartening. But I thought, okay, let me just continue the journey of the film and see where it takes me. And there were beautiful moments, beautiful shots, and I loved the placement of music in the film. I thought the music was quite powerful. But there were moments where this character was smiling during scenes of abuse where one could say maybe that's a defense mechanism or survival mechanism or something, but I didn't see it like that. I think it was just out of touch with what it is really like for someone who lives through an experience of abuse and what that does to someone's self-esteem, their self-concept, their self-image, their self-confidence. That's just how it felt to me as an outsider. And so that was, so I left the film kind of disappointed. Like, that was a missed opportunity. Like, it's so hard to make a film in Hollywood. And then finally, like, it wasn't even this huge budget film. Like, they got a film made at that Hollywood level, and there was a lot of good in the directing, but I just was like, oh, what a missed opportunity to create a real impact film that could really have a far reach. And so I just thought, okay, that's interesting that that's what's going on in Hollywood right now because of the work I do and, just the way that I was sort of shut out of the industry because of these sexual harassers and abusers within the Hollywood industry. And then I saw pictures of this leading actress with Harvey Weinstein and clearly like in that whole circle of those sort of dark forces of men that, it was just hard to see. It's hard to articulate for me, but I think there was very much this lie of Hollywood that was built for a long time. And I feel like something is sort of crumbling right now. Anyway, and then I went on and I started to get more, once you see one thing on your social media, more and more and more pops up. And suddenly I'm seeing this same actress like promoting an alcohol company in conjunction with a film about this topic of abuse. Like, are that ignorant about abuse to not know how much of a fuel alcohol is for it? I mean, I used to literally be terrified anytime my father drank. That's when he would become violent with my mother and give her a black eye and things of that nature. And if you've ever been around that, or people who have been around that, you know how horrible that is. So it was like this very odd thing to be promoting an alcohol brand in conjunction with it. And then I realized like this hair care brand I had bought, not only did the product not work at all, I think it made my hair worse, but it was also like not the right time to promote that, And it just sort of gave me a moment's pause. And then I also saw in this interview where this actress is like bullying another woman, and you're like, that's abusive behavior, And so there's just like this very grand lie in Hollywood, I guess, that I find to be interesting to talk about because we need to empower ourselves to not feed into the lie of Hollywood because it really isn't real. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's a big grand illusion. And yes, there's a lot of money involved and you see a lot of external, superficial charm and beauty and things like that. But just don't compare yourself to these people, because it's also like, if you compare the way you look also, it's like, you don't know how many surgeries that person had to look that way. You don't know what work they've had done. And, I think it all comes down to, I have a lot of compassion for these same people, because there's something inside that's driving that. And it's interesting. I was reading Matthew Perry's book recently, rest in peace, one of, the great comedic geniuses of our time, and also someone who struggled and suffered a lot internally, which he shared in his book that he left behind. And he talks about fame, and he talks about how when he was young, he would pray to be famous. And I think his prayer was, God, you can do anything you want with me. Just please make me famous. And then he became famous and realized it didn't fill the void inside. There's so many people trying to fill a God-sized hole. And whatever you believe in, you can call it God, divine love, but it's really like the wholeness we're all seeking is really generated internally through that connection to divine source, to call it God, love, whatever, you feel comfortable with. But that really is the answer, is connecting to a higher power, is being of service to others. It's not all of the superficial stuff, but our egos want to pull us into it. Like my ego wanted me to get this hair care product, like our egos are so sneaky. Like they want us to compare ourselves to others. They want us to buy into this lie of Hollywood, this lie of of it all. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. And I think that I want to leave on the note of just sharing that I think that there could be a different version of Hollywood, quote unquote, that we create together that really is a return to films being a true place for the arts to exist, a true place for soulfulness to go back into cinema instead of a lot of what we're seeing today, which is just all about bottom lines, box office numbers. Because I would argue if you're making a film that really comes from the soul and it's really, everyone involved is really on board. They're not all trying to sell their side products or, they really are connected to that purpose, to that real sense of purpose, not on a superficial level, not on a surface level, but in a really true, deep way. I really believe that film, cinema, can be one of the most powerful mediums for creating impact and change in the world. And I think that this experience I had, it can be a learning lesson for everyone in the industry and also as an audience about how we want to create moving forward and who we want to work with, and sort of having a different standard for who we work with, in the sense that, are you just going to cast an actor because they are a big, quote, Hollywood celebrity and you think that that will, get people in the theater? Or would you rather put your casting efforts on finding real artists whose measure of success is truly impacting the audience, truly connecting with the audience? I think that if we could make that shift, we could open up a whole new world of possibilities for helping others and really serving something higher than ourselves. But anyway, I could go on. It's a huge passion of mine and something I want to talk more about for sure on this podcast, for sure in the content that I'm putting out in the world. And, I would argue that the more that we are creating those films really from the soul and keeping our standards high about who we work with and looking at our values in terms of who we're choosing to work with, who we're choosing to cast, in a leading role for a film with that type of subject matter, if we really put our focus on making sure everyone is really unified behind a cause, and that's the real reason we're doing it. We're not making the film so that we have some 15 minutes of fame and are able to sell some extra side products, buy another house or whatever. I think that if we made more films like that it would get more people in the theaters and more people excited to go to the movies again. I know it would certainly make me, as a cinephile, very excited to go to the movies again if there were more movies really coming from that deep, soulful place with everyone collectively on board with that message. I think that those films would do really well. in a financial sense also. So, that's my 2 cents. And it would also be nice if, there wasn't such an emphasis on plastic surgery in the industry. I mean, an actress I really admire, who I will name, is Kate Winslet. I just feel like she really lets herself be seen, and the roles she chooses are just so smart, I guess. And I'm really inspired by her. I very much look up to her as an actress. And there are some really great actors who are more at a celebrity level, and I don't want to discount any of them. But it's just interesting to see that contrast sometimes when I go to the movies, because at the end of the day, I'm a filmmaker, I'm an actor, I'm all those things, but I'm also just a girl who, grew up being bullied and kind of feeling left out, and went to the movies as this safe haven, as this refuge. And I will always love movies for that reason, So I'm also just a movie lover, at the end of the day. And I'm an audience member as much as I'm a filmmaker and a creator. So I just want to see more movies that excite me in the theaters, and that aren't just motivated by the values of just making as much money as possible. Yes, we want to make money doing what we do, but if the value shift could happen where the number one priority is truly impact, and then make as much money as you want. But I think that would happen in a much more organic and natural way, where people would naturally feel inspired to go to the theaters if some of these people making the movies were just more in touch with their audience and what the audience was really craving and seeking, and in some cases needing. When you're talking about a topic as serious as domestic violence, as an abuse, some people need films like that. There's a quote I love that's like, sometimes you need a story more than bread to stay alive. And I directly relate to that. So anyway, all that to say that I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic. I look at all these things as learning lessons for myself, for the industry as a whole, for myself as an audience member, and what I want to go see when I do watch a film, who I want to support, who I don't want to support. And again, it's not to tear anyone down. I think, it's all learning lessons. Like, you would just hope and say a prayer that, this particular person could maybe learn. Anyway, but that's not my business. So thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you next time on Live Consciously. Bye for now.